Well, in 2019, back around the holidays, we were walking through the Smith Haven Mall. I happened to have my 10-year-old son with me. And there's a CBD or a cannabis kiosk in the mall. Walking past it, Martin had a question as to exactly what CBD or what is cannabis. And I couldn't answer the question honestly because I don't know that much about it. And I felt not only as a father, but as a journalist, I should do some investigative work to determine exactly what it is that people are loving about this product, and is it working for people? Is it not working for people? And one of the things that came to me in my research is a book called What's Growing in Grandma's Garden. What's Growing in Grandma's Garden by Susan Soares. Now, they say that kids and cannabis is not a good combination. There are some medical exceptions. We don't know enough about the endocannabinoid system. That's endocannabinoid system, or ECS. But what we do know is that it's a delicate system. It requires balance, and that the brain is developing until one's mid-20s. All right, so there isn't much being said about what to tell young people in a time when cannabis is suddenly appearing everywhere. Well, I took a look into it, and I got some answers, and I'll share them with you right here on iRadioUSA. Okay, but before I think we start getting into how we are going to explain this to our children, I think we need to understand it ourselves. Now, CBD is called cannabidiol. That's cannabidiol. And it's a therapeutic compound produced by cannabis. They say it's commonly extracted and processed into oils, gummies, and topicals, and other products that have no doubt, basically, they say, sparked a lot of curiosity, which it has. And there's a lot of questions to be answered. CBD is a non-intoxicating compound, and it's found in cannabis and hemp. Now, CBD oils, gummies, and other products are continuing to grow in popularity as ways to, manage anxiety, stress, pain, and other symptoms. Actually, the way I came upon my research topic was looking under CBD in ways of managing anxiety. Basically, people will associate cannabis with getting stoned. But CBD can be extracted from the plant to make products that come without that high or the smoke. The molecule in cannabis that gets us high is called THC. And nowadays, you can turn to cannabis-derived CBD products with little or no THC for clear-headed symptom relief. Yee-haw. They say that cannabis produces dozens of potentially therapeutic compounds called cannabinoids. And basically, as legalization spreads, they're getting to know them. They seem pretty friendly to humans and to many of the ailments that humans suffer from. All right, so the question, how does CBD work in the brain and the body? Each of our bodies has a set of receptors, and these receptors interact with cannabis compounds called cannabinoids, like CBD. The receptors found throughout the body comprise the ECS system, which is the endocannabinoid system. This is a complex signaling system that ensures our bodies maintain homeostasis. So putting it another way, it keeps us in balance by directing the communication traffic in our bodies. Cannabinoids such as CBD interact with this system, mimicking natural compounds produced by the body. In the human body, CBD influences cannabinoid receptor activity and encourages production of the body's natural endocannabinoids. Interestingly, they say CBD also affects activity beyond the endocannabinoid system and can also interact with opiate, dopamine, and serotonin receptors. The ability of CBD to interact with so many different types of systems throughout the body suggests it has the potential to open new frontiers in psychiatric and medicine. So here's the thing. They want to know, can CBD make you feel high? Well, unlike THC, CBD is not intoxicating. Why, they say, or why, they ask? Because THC and CBD are cannabinoids, but they behave very differently in our body. THC stimulates what's called CB1 receptors, When CB1 receptors are activated, humans generally experience feelings of euphoria or, for some, anxiety and paranoia. Now, CBD does not activate CB1 receptors, so we don't feel euphoric, anxious, or stoned while we're taking it. That's a good thing for me because I don't like the feeling of anything that gets me that anxiety, that paranoia, or that feeling. So, In fact, CBD can actually reduce THC's ability to stimulate CB1 receptors, helping to block some of THC's not-so-fun side effects. For those prone to anxiety and forgetfulness when consuming cannabis, CBD is a good tool to keep on hand. Now, there are many conditions which I'm seeing that CBD can potentially treat. And it would be a whole nother show to go through each individual one of them, but basically anxiety, pain, insomnia, epileptic seizure. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that CBD seems to be helping people deal with. The question also is, and I had this question, does CBD show up on drug tests? Well, when you're taking a drug test, you are not being screened for CBD, but you can still fail a drug test by only using CBD products. I want to read that again. When you're taking a drug test, you are not being screened for CBD, but you can still fail a drug test by only using CBD products. That's because drug tests screen for THC, and many CBD products have trace levels of THC. So there are, they say, broad-spectrum CBD oils or CBD isolates that have stripped out but maintain the presence of other cannabinoids and compounds. So, yeah, the bottom line is, if you're subject to a drug test, you want to make sure if you're using a CBD product that you're not going to come up showing, you're not going to have a bad piss test. How can I say it? All right. Since 1937, cannabis has been federally illegal. So was hemp until the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018, also called the Farm Bill, and the law removed hemp and its derivatives from the Controlled Substance Act. So both hemp and high-resin cannabis produce CBD, but they now have different definitions by law. CBD is legal as long as it's derived from hemp, possibly, but not always. There's a lot to this. This is a whole other show, guys. This is a whole other show. I'm looking at some of the information, and I really want to get back to basically talking about what I wanted this show to be about, and that's the book, of course, as to what's growing in Grandma's garden. I think basically now we have a general understanding of what CBD is, what it's used for, and what it actually does in the body. But there are a lot of other questions. So, like I said, we'll have to launch into that in some other shows. But for right now, let's get back to talking about how do we answer a child's question, and the book, What is Growing in Grandma's Garden. So the book is called What is Growing in Grandma's Garden. It's by author Susan Soares. She is a longtime cannabis advocate, and she was faced with this question on The Woody Show. And for those of you that are wondering what exactly is The Woody Show,
welcome back to The Woody Show. We had a special guest stop by.
Hello, my name is Dr. Green Thumb. I'd like to tell you just where I'm from in the hills where the...
You have a special project going on, right?
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
So what is it all about?
Well, it was actually inspired by Woody.
Get out of here.
Really? No
It
way.
really was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the first time I came in, he said, how do you talk to your kids about cannabis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of dodged the question because I didn't. It wasn't even legal then.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I was coming out of my Mormon fog.
Right.
And didn't know what to do. Anyway, it really bothered me that I didn't have a good answer.
Okay.
So I started interviewing all of these grown-ups that have children in their lives and asked them, what do you say to them? And the bottom line was nobody was saying anything
Yeah.
to their kids. They're comfortable. This one gentleman told me that his 8-year-old son made the best Manhattan.
Oh, yeah?
He mixes his cocktails
Wow.
for him, but
Okay.
he can't talk to him about his cannabis use.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Susan Soares, author of the book What's Growing in Grandma's Garden, at the Woody Show. Woody Show, of course, is a show that can be seen on YouTube. But she did spend a year, she was interviewing adults in regards to talking about cannabis to their kids, and she found that less than 5% of the parents she had interviewed were informing their children about the subject, even if they worked in the industry. It was obvious, she said, painfully obvious, that they were trying to hide it from their children. And when adults hide something from their children, it suggests that they're doing something wrong, which feeds the stigma around cannabis. And then she says they'll become judgmental of it as well. So when a child grows curious, they're likely to fear the judgment and basically breaks down conversation. When we judge people, they feel shame, she says, and they don't want to talk to us anymore. And that's not what we want from our children when we want them to talk to us. I agree with that. Soares believes that informing young people on cannabis helps keep them safe. Unless it's being used for a medical purpose, it would be really better for them if they waited until their brains are fully grown, she said, which is, of course, the mid-20s. And basically, they need to have this information, she said. Her grandchildren are well informed on the matter. My grandson, she says, I can't have alcohol or coffee or cannabis. They say it all the time. They're proud of it. They get it. What's growing in Grandma's garden? So Soares decided to tackle the matter by giving adults an aid to talk to their kids about cannabis, something that would be light enough for the child to enjoy, but also talked about the importance of waiting to enjoy this quickly becoming legal plant that adults are so excited about. She lives in California, where medical cannabis has been legal for decades and became recreational legit in 2018. So she set out to write the book. It's a children's book, and again, it's called What's Growing in Grandma's Garden, and it tells the real-life tale of her grandson getting curious about her special locked greenhouse, which is full of cannabis. She said, I wrote the book with very few words. It's very light, and it's just meant to inspire conversation. The book starts out by describing her garden from the kiddo's point of view, talking about how most plants are for food and medicine, and fun bags and snacks he gets to encounter along the way. After introducing the locked greenhouse, the pair gather together ingredients for lunch. The grandson picks out sweet potatoes, and Grandma gets raw cannabis to put into her fruit smoothie. When he asks to try a bit of it, she doesn't let him. And they say this is especially important during a time when people are putting CBD into everything. Non-intoxicating doesn't mean it's not interacting with the delicate and understudied ECS system. She then draws a brain with the sidewalk chalk to help explain that his brain is still growing and that he needs to feed it the right things to ensure he grows up to have a strong and fast brain. Now, after Grandma medicates her sore sidewalk chalking knees with a non-intoxicating cannabis oil, everyone comes over for their weekly barbecue. While the kids play hide and seek with the other adults, some sip wine and do other grown-up things. Grandma finally gets to get her buzz on, hanging downwind with a joint by the greenhouse. She then packs up lots of fresh vegetables for everyone to take with them, and they're on their way. I guess everybody's getting the munchies. Soares says it's important to be frank about why adults enjoy things like cannabis and wine, and intoxication is an interesting subject. Basically, on the cover of the book, the grandmother is spinning the grandson around, and the reason for that is that kids like to be spun around and they like to feel dizzy to alter their reality. It's a form of intoxication. I don't know, I do it, my grandson throws up. She adds that many people take intoxicating pharmaceuticals every morning, and people rarely, if ever, talk about it. She says it's time to stop being so ashamed of enjoying the feeling of intoxication because it's natural. Why do we like roller coaster rides? And it's not just a human thing. There are animals, birds, and insects like it too. Why can't we just admit we like it, she says. She continues, in order for young people to know how to treat an intoxicant, they need to have someone they can ask honest questions to, just like they do with topics like sex or swearing. And she says her book can be used to facilitate a time to talk about other adult-only issues. It's an opportunity to talk about all the grown-up things. So basically, if you have kids, what do they know about cannabis? If you're not the one informing them, then they'll probably choose between inaccurate sources or fear-based education. Or they'll listen to the industry, which is very busy telling adults that it's healthy. And while it is actually accurate for many well-balanced adults, it's probably not the message you want your children to hear. All right? So basically, the book is available. I'm going to place some of the links on the post here where you're listening to this, but basically Barnes & Noble, Book Baby, Target. If you do basically a Google search for what's growing in Grandma's garden, you can also see some of the videos. And it appears that what's growing in Grandma's garden has a Facebook page. So if you head on over there to Facebook and do a search for what's growing in Grandma's garden, you can check out the Facebook page. You know, the bottom line is we need knowledge. Without knowledge, we're ignorant. And to talk about something that we don't know anything about or to be judgmental about something just doesn't make sense. So, you know, if you want to talk to your kids, I mean, there's a lot of things we need in today's world to be able to talk to our kids about. But the bottom line, if we need to have a way of being able to open communication, we have to have that trust factor with our children that they're willing to come to us and talk to us before it turns into an issue or something that we don't want it to turn into. Too many suicides going on in the world today. Too much drug use of, you know, I've talked to parents in the past who would never have imagined that their child was addicted to any type of drug. And some have lost their children to drug use. I mean, it's sad, but we need to open that communication. We need to open that door to be able to answer questions when we're walking with someone in the mall and my 10-year-old says to me, "Hey, Dad, what's CBD?" You know, I'd rather have him have honest answers and an understanding from me that what it is and why he should not even consider using it until, as she said, his brain is totally developed, because it could hurt him more than help him. All right? So, my name is Martin Koppelman. This is iRadio USA. I hope the information that I've given you today makes sense and helps you open a communication door with your child. All right? Have a great day. Make it a great life. And I'll see you next time right here on iRadio USA. No part of this broadcast can be reproduced in any format without the express written permission of iRadio USA.